Good evening and warm welcome to Breaking Today. My name is Lincoln Umbogo. Our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. We have a lot prepared for you tonight, but first, let's take a look at the headlines.
Health CS Mutahi Kagwe warns Kenyans not to attend gatherings and not observing MOH guidelines as 18 more people succumb to COVID-19. Education CS Professor Magoha says schools will reopen on 4th January 2021, even as his health counterpart Mutahi Kagwe says that schools reopening will be determined by the coronavirus status in the country. And the journey to decongesting Kenya's capital, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services (NMS), is set to construct a traffic control center at City Cabanas.
We are live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter at Switch TV Kenya. Send in your feedback to our SMS line 111 and at Switch TV Kenya and at Lincoln Umbogo on all my social media handles. On to the top stories tonight. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has today announced the full reopening of schools for all learners in January 4th, 2021, following a coronavirus-triggered shutdown in March. The full-scale reopening of schools follows a presidential directive issued during the State of the Nation address on November 12th, when President Uhuru Kenyatta instructed CS Magoha to review the 2021 academic calendar within 2 weeks. Andrew Kero explains.
The Ministry of Education has finally released the 2021 academic calendar that will require all learners in primary and secondary schools to report back from January 4th. Speaking after meeting education stakeholders, Professor Magoha said the reopening date will apply to PP1 and PP2, Grade 1, 2 and 3, Class 5, 6 and 7 and Form 1, 2 and 3 learners.
All schools will reopen fully on the 4th of January 2021. The Ministry of Education has today met with all stakeholders behind me here to deliberate on the current preparedness of full resumption of learning for all learners.
Although the calendar for the KCPE and the KCSE was not released today, CS Magoha announced that non-candidate classes will proceed for a 7-week break to allow for the administration, marking and grading of the examinations.
Grade 4 and incoming Form 1 Class 8 graduate learners will stay at home as other learners complete their third term. Number 6, Grade 4 CBC learners will transition to Grade 5 in July 2021.
Teachers Service Commission Chief Executive Nancy Macharia said teachers are ready to prepare Standard 8 and Form 4 candidates for the national examinations. Macharia has urged teachers aged 58 and above and those with pre-existing healthy conditions to work from home.
I want to assure our teachers that the employer is in no business of dismissing teachers, and especially when this has been a presidential directive. We just want you to take care of your health, because as an employer, we want to have you long.
The Ministry of Education has also set up a COVID-19 incidence reporting tool, which will allow teachers to monitor and report cases in real time. The hustle now shifted to ensuring the safety of learners even as they go back to school. Already the government is racing with time to deliver more infrastructure in ensuring proper social distance between students. Magoha, however, appealed to benefactors to aid in the supply of masks for students. Andrew Kero, Switch TV in Nairobi.
Thank you, Andrew Kero, for that story. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe has said that Kenyans will not be used as guinea pigs to test a vaccine that is yet to be clearly confirmed. According to CS Kagwe, the Ministry of Health is cautious in consenting to a vaccine jointly developed by New York-based pharmaceutical Pfizer and BioNTech. There has been a lot of talk about the prospect of a COVID-19 vaccine from Pfizer and BioNTech. According to data from a company Moderna, the new vaccine is said to be nearly 95% effective against COVID-19. Take a look.
Nobody would want us to succeed in getting a vaccine more than the Ministry of Health and the government of the Republic of Kenya. That is why we are also involved through KEMRI, Wellcome Trust. We are also involved in the attempt to come up with a vaccine and to help people and to save lives. But let me also say this. Thus, Kenya will not also use as guinea pigs to test vaccines that are essentially not cleared. We are not sure about them. I think the history of vaccines elsewhere also proves us right. And if you look at some of the side effects that we have seen with vaccines that have already been launched, then you can understand why we want the vaccine yesterday, but we are also cautious. And those who are rushing to tell us about the vaccines are the ones who will rush to condemn us when we start getting people dying or having serious side effects.
After the looming strike for healthcare professionals countrywide, today Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe has met with the National Emergency Response Committee (NOC) and Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union to discuss and matters COVID-19 and safety of medical practitioners. Regarding the meeting, resolutions were made that committees should assess county status on oxygen and personal protective equipment for healthcare workers. NHIF has been directed to conclude negotiations on insurance benefits passed by the Cabinet and give a directive by tomorrow.
And this morning, in consultation now with the unions, the doctors' unions, we have instructed the National Insurance Hospital Fund to quickly conclude the negotiations for comprehensive group life, last expense, enhanced work and injury benefits, and group personal accident cover for COVID-19 as approved by the Cabinet, and announce the conclusion and effectiveness of those insurance benefits.
Elsewhere, from the narrative making rounds in the country on the BBI report, there is a fallacy that it is the entire report that will be made law. But today in our special feature dissecting the BBI, our reporter David Kagina explains how not everything in the report will become law.
For as much as the BBI report was submitted as a block, every recommendation therein will be handled separately, and unlike the popular assumption, not everything in the report will become law. In accordance to Article 255, Clause 1 of the Constitution, proposed recommendations of amending the Kenyan Constitution will only be approved for subjection to referendum if the amendments relate to any of the following matters: the supremacy of the Constitution, the territory of Kenya, the sovereignty of the people, the national values and principles of governance referred to in Article 10, Clause 2A to D, the Bill of Rights, the term of office of the President, the independence of the judiciary and the commissions and independent offices to which Chapter 15 applies, the function of Parliament, the objective, principles and structure of devolved government, or the provisions of this chapter. And according to Clause 2 of the same chapter of the Constitution, the proposed amendments shall only be approved for a referendum under two conditions. One, that at least 20% of the registered voters in each of at least half of the counties vote in the referendum. And two, that the amendment is supported by a simple majority of the citizens voting in the referendum. One can argue that the recommendation of creating the post of a prime minister relates to democracy, a national value which in turn requires a referendum. However, a legal case can be made to avoid a referendum altogether and to still put into effect what the BBI proposes in restructuring the government via parliament, which is a wild card for the handshake duo President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga should the move for a referendum face strong opposition. Dissecting the BBI here on Switch TV, I'm David Kagina.
Thank you, David Kagina. Well, that segment, Dissecting the BBI by David Kagina, comes to you every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Moving on, Deputy President William Ruto says the country is headed to a lose-lose outcome from the Building Bridges initiative unless the hardline position taken by some of those steering the process is relaxed. According to Ruto, for the country to rally behind the BBI, there is an urgent need to improve its presentation and content, adding that there should be no rush in the process.
Deputy
President William Ruto believes that there is enough time to make amends to the BBI report on what he termed as a costly 2-year product.
The document we have, which has taken us 2 years, has so many gaps and is so controversial that unless you accommodate the views of the various stakeholders, we will end up with a lose-lose outcome. Those who will attempt to pass this document will end up with a bad constitution.
The deputy president said by the look of things, it was clear some quarters were pushing for a yes-no referendum for political reasons that target the 2022 polls.
They are telling us that the religious leaders, the county assemblies, the county governments, leadership of the pastoralists, leadership of the pastors, and all other Kenyans who have views to enrich the BBI document, they are telling us they have no time because they had a whole 2 years to bring their views.
With the coronavirus intensely destroying livelihoods and taking away lives, the deputy president said that it was time the country's leadership was united and mobilized resources towards confronting the outbreak rather than campaign for BBI, which can be put on hold.
And I am urging leaders across Kenya today, for once, for all of us to be united so that we can face the real risk and challenge that face our country in the corona pandemic.
Deputy President William Ruto spoke today at his current residence in Nairobi County when he met members of the County Assembly of Wajir, led by its Majority Leader Muhammad Gabane and Minority Leader Abdi Hussein. Ivy Kavai, Switch TV.
Well, with Ivy Kavai's story, we now take a short commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more. Welcome back and thank you for keeping it Switch TV. We are live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, Switch TV Kenya. Send in your feedback to our SMS 111 444 111 and at Switch TV Kenya and at Lincoln Wumbogo on all my social media handles. There has been mixed reactions among Kenyans concerning BBI report from the onset when the document was launched. Well, our reporter Majibu Kitsao was on the streets to sample some views of Kenyans in Nairobi, and this is what they had to say.
Of Kenyans concerning the BBI document. Are they supporting the document? If yes, they'll tell us why, and if no, they'll also tell us why.
Wasikubali maoni yetu ipelekwe kwa boardroom mahali na wanasiasa waenda kuikalia kutengeneza deals, cutting deals in a boardroom in something called consensus. Sisi tunasema let Wanjiku decide. Hii kitu iletwe mashinani, mtu apewe ballot apige no ama yes.
Mimi naichukua kama 10 commandments ambayo iletwa na Musa, of which hata rais wetu Uhuru Kenyatta alisema yeye ni Musa na amesimama kwa mlima na akaona Kanani. Mtu wote ambaye anapinga BBI namchukua kama Kora, Abiram na Dathan, wale wa enzi za kina Musa. Kwa hivyo wao wanastahili kumezwa na dunia na stori ishe.
Na hii BBI mimi naipinga kwa sababu zangu tatu. Sababu ya kwanza ni mambo kuhusu imperial president. Kenya tumekuwa tunapigania kuwa na president with the less powers. So unapata BBI inapatia the next president a lot of powers. President anaanza kuwa yeye ndio ana elect, yeye ndio ana appoint the deputy president wake, anakuja ana appoint the prime minister, arudi tena appoint the two deputy prime ministers. And remember, he's the same person who will be appointing the ombudsman to the judiciary. So unapata huyo mtu atakuwa na a lot of powers that hata wakina Raila na wengine wamekuwa wakipigania tusikuwe na an imperial president, a president who is a dictator and wields a lot of power. Hiyo ni reason number one. Reason number two, tunaona kwamba Kenyans are being added 70 more seats. Why should we have 70 extra MPs? The problem of Kenyans is not overrepresentation or underrepresentation. The problem of Kenyans is money. If you feel a constituency is too big or has more people, add them more cash, but not more leaders. So the problem of Kenyan is not about how many leaders a constituency has or an area has, but the money that trickles down to the people. That was number two. And then the last one is about the dictatorship, where the BBI is telling the governors that each and every governor must appoint a woman or an opposite gender as a running mate. You know, you cannot gag me. If I want to be a governor, you can't gag me. Ya kwamba nikiwa mimi ni mwanaume lazima nichague mwanamke kama deputy wangu. Ukiangalia sehemu mingi za Kenya, hii kiti ya deputy governor inakuanga ni hesabu inapigwa. Ukiangalia mali kama Migori, unapata governor akiwa Mjaluo, deputy governor anakuwa Mkuria. So utaambia Wakuria lazima alete mwanamke ndiye akuwe deputy governor on this side. Those are three areas and those are the three reasons why I am for no.
Na kwa hiyo BBI inaonekana kurudisha udikteta, manake katiba ya 2010 ilikuwa imegawanyisha mamlaka kutoka kwa Rais Moi ambaye alikuwa na mamlaka makubwa zaidi na kutumia mamlaka hayo vibaya, na ikawa ni mamlaka yagawanyishwe, yapewe bunge na yapewe mahakama, mambo kama yale. Kwa hivyo BBI imerudisha huyu rais ambaye tulipigwa sana katika barabara Njoya na wengine wote ambao watasoma kutokana na historia ya mageuzi, historia ya kutaka mabadiliko ya kikatiba na vitu kama hivyo. Kwa hivyo siwezi kuunga mkono BBI, manake Raila Odinga mwenyewe alisema kuwa mahakama ya afisi mbuzi yana haki, na kwa hiyo leo tunashangaa kama afisi amekosa meno au imekuwaje.
Thank you, Majibu Kitsao, for that story. Well, the next story was meant to be a top story, but we had technical glitches here and there. We apologize, but here comes nothing. The COVID-19 pandemic has ravaged the country in recent weeks, claiming the lives of several individuals, including medical doctors. In his daily COVID-19 update today, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe has insisted on illegal public gatherings, reiterating that the country's fatality rate is now at 1.8%. This comes as a Form 4 student from Lureko Secondary School in Kakamega County died of suspected COVID-19 related complications.
Since the beginning of November, Kenya has recorded 14,926 positive cases, losing 274 people in the last 1 month. According to CS Kagwe, the cases are likely to rise further.
We have to be realistic about the current situation. Our advice as the Ministry of Health is that instead of attending a wedding, please send a gift. Instead of attending a funeral, please send a contribution if you must. But I think it is in your interest not to attend those functions and leave them to the families. Let these things now forthwith be dealt with by families.
Following yesterday's demands by medical practitioners, the ministry met today. KMPDU and NERC deliberated on various issues in curbing the pandemic. Political leaders have been warned not to insult the president when they call people for political gatherings.
We therefore appeal to Ngao, the police, and other enforcement agencies, as per instructions by His Excellency the President during the last nation address in vis-a-vis COVID-19 at State House, to implement without any reservations and without any reference strictly the laid down protocols that we have given as far as these areas of gatherings are concerned.
Kenyans have been reminded on the restrictions on gatherings, with the CS reiterating that the law will take its course during this time. Nyakundi Kelvin, Switch TV.
Up and running is the latest from the business world. Good evening and welcome. My name is Clifford Ndubi. Now, over the last decade, Kenya has been a leading foreign direct investment destination in Africa, coming third in deal volumes and value after South Africa and Egypt. In the recent years, as a regional business hub, Kenya experienced a GDP growth of between 5% and 7%, and its economic development is growing rapidly. So even with this pandemic, how is the industry bracing for these uncertain times? Manufacturing is one of the government's big four agenda that aim to tap on its potential to create job opportunities as well as securing the food basket of the country. It is an industry that is ever growing technologically, with key international stakeholders eyeing the Kenyan market.
It is in this context that the Kenya International Industrial Expo aim to link local business enterprises to their Chinese counterparts.
Under Vision 2030, there is need to raise the share of Kenyan products in the regional market from 7% to 15%.
And we want to be the leaders in Africa, especially in the advent of the African Free Continental Trade Area, so that we can become the manufacturing hub.
Commercialization of research and development results, attraction of strategic investors in strategic sectors is what could lead to strengthening the capacity and local content of domestically manufactured goods.
We have 75 export processing zones where you can get a lot of incentives if you are doing your business there.
For now, industrial and technology parks are key elements of the infrastructure supporting the growth of today's global knowledge economy by providing a location in which government and private sector are creating environments that foster collaboration and innovation, hence enhancing the development, transfer and commercialization of technology. Clifford Ndubi, Switch Business. Now, elsewhere, Immaculate Kasai took her oath of office today, becoming the country's first data commissioner. The oath was administered by Honorable Sharon Moyuli from the office of the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary and presided over by Court of Appeal Registrar Moses Serem. The development coming after President Uhuru Kenyatta appointed her as a data commissioner for a period of 6 years.
We don't ask questions. When we enter a building, our data is given, and what we need to ask ourselves, is it excessive? Why do I need to give my name, my fingerprints, at a peculiar time. So this office is here to protect data. And as we know, data now today is the new oil. That data, unless processed, it means nothing. But we have marketers who use it. Unsolicited emails, unsolicited phone calls, in terms of your social media, how your data is used. So we would need to focus on that more.
Away from that, the Matatu and Boda Boda Federation, an umbrella organization that houses Boda Boda and Matatu operators, has today elected new officials. During their AGM, the federation has vowed to empower the youth by providing the finances within the association to improve their welfare. The federation has also hinted on the launch of electric cars, as John Kutuni now reports.
2 months after the Nairobi Metropolitan restructured the parking spots, relocating all the Matatus and Boda Boda operators out of the CBD, the Matatu and Boda Boda Federation has reacted by supporting NMS for its initiative in decongesting the city and welcomed the relocation to Green Park, previously known as Luna Park.
We've seen every single sector, before being removed, they are given a soft landing, a place where they can do their business bila kukuwa na shida. Na hiyo haijakuwa rahisi hapo nyuma. Kumekuwa na vuta ni kuvute, lakini kwa leo mambo imekuwa sawa.
The federation has vowed to work with the government to rid off cartels and ensure security within the CBD.
Kama key stakeholders wa security, na kuambia kwa muda wa miezi 3 hamutaona hata mtu ambaye ni pickpocketa, hamutaona watu wakinyang'anywa magari zao, hamutaona watu wakinyang'anywa pesa zao, kwa sababu wakitorokea kwetu kutoka kwa matatu hawawezi kuingia kwa mabodaboda, na sisi tutakuja kuwatabua.
Na tumeweka structure mzuri, na sisi wote watu wa bodaboda Kenya mzima tumesema Kenya mzima tutaungana to make sure cartels tumeondoa kwa hii sector.
Matatu and Boda Boda Federation Mabof is targeting on empowering its members who are majorly the youth and have called on the stakeholders to join and provide a financial muscle to all the Matatu and Boda Boda operators in the country.
Sisi tumekuja pamoja ku make sure hiyo dream ya hawa vijana kuwa na manyumba zao kama wale wengine ambao uliwaona juzi Kitengela waliona nyumba zao, magari zao, na kuleta future pamoja, kwa sababu tukitembea pamoja tunaweza fanya mambo mingi.
As the world paces forward towards adoption of electric cars, the Federation has hinted on the launch of both electric Matatus and Boda Bodas that are set to be available soon. Reporting for Switch TV, my name is Joan Kutun.
Right, thank you, John Kutuni, for that story. And that's all we had for you from the business world. Up next is the latest from the world of sports. Lincoln Wambugu, take it away.
Thank you, Clifton Dubie. It's time to get sporty. Two-time 3000 steeplechase world champion Conseslus Kipruto was today charged with the offence of defiling a 15-year-old within Nandi County between October 20 and 21st this year. The case was filed at Mosariot Police Post by the teenager's parents, who alleged that their daughter went missing from home and was staying at the athlete's home in Chesumei. Kipruto denied the charges before Magistrate David Ocharo and was released on a cash bill of 200,000 shillings, awaiting hearing on May 10th, 2021.
Silver medalist. This is the only one missing from his collection. But look at Albert Carley. He's been a bit awkward over the barriers. Kenya from Morocco. Jaeger of the United States.
Moving on, the head of the International Olympics Committee, Thomas Bach, has given a vote of confidence, saying spectators will be able to attend the Tokyo Olympic Games next year. Bach is currently in Tokyo with the Tokyo Olympics organizers to review preparations for the postponed 2020 Olympics amid the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. More than 11,000 athletes from around 200 countries had been scheduled to take part in the Games, now due to begin in July 2021.
In the full determination and confidence to make the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 and the Paralympic Games a great success next summer here in Tokyo.
Well, that sports story wraps up our news broadcast tonight. Many thanks for watching. My name is Lincoln Ombogu. Our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Stay tuned, because up next is Sports Central with Tony Kolanda. Good evening.